moms cradling babies, rocking, lullaby. That is what we need. And there's a reason why. I mean, it's all biological. It's all brain-based, right? And I
It
don't,
made me, oh, sorry. It made me think of the client he had who had PTSD, who would go dancing and would have better sleep after they went dancing. And he recognized that, okay, we just need to put this more into your day because you're regulating yourself by dancing and you're tiring your body so that you can sleep better. So how can you incorporate that more rather than just on the weekend, right? And so then he also started walking, and that helped. So it was creating that movement structure around his life that helped him because the movement helped to regulate him. Which I was like, we can't
absolutely.
even sit here and say, like, I just feel like I don't think I've ever met anyone that's like, oh, for PTSD, you should walk and move your body and maybe like do something fun, like dancing or something, right? So it's crazy.
And my clients know those are some of the first things we talk about, right? We talk about sleep first, we talk about movement, we talk about nutrition. And those things are key. It's not just about exercise. This is about regulating your brain and giving it what it needs. Like, this is not about heart healthy or longevity or anything like that. This is about your brain and what it needs. It will do better for you if you give this movement. And that's why we see sports as such an important piece for kids. It's the movement piece. It's yes, we can talk about sports and teams and competition and social norming and learning all of those things. And that's very important, but it's the movement, right? All right. Well, so they talk a lot about, that healing is not about erasing the past, but creating safety in the present. How did this thought process potentially shift your view, or how would you implement and work with clients with that?
Will you say it one more time?
The book talks about we're not erasing the past, but we're creating safety in the present, right? So how might this idea shift how you approach healing and supporting others? Like, did it shift your thought process? Did it align spot on with your process? And how would you use this with clients? Like, how would you present it? What are some ways it would find its way into the therapeutic relationship?
Something, I don't know if I'm answering this right, but whenever they talked about I don't remember how old she was, maybe 12 or so, but she had I think it was abusive upbringing. And they just started throwing out all these interventions, all these modalities, and things weren't working. And they had her on all these medications. And so they finally saw the doctor, Dr. Perry, and he was basically like, no, we need to get down first and do all these things before. So yes, these things can work, but it's about timing as well. And so I think that's something that will help me present things like, oh, well, we've got to get down to it before we just start trying to, like a better word, fix your kid.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. He mentioned too, like, that it can take 10 to 12 sessions before a person is able to really, like, almost begin the healing process, right? Because you're creating, like what we just talked about, that safe environment, right? And so for me, it defined what I'm doing as my job as a therapist, right? One thing I don't think the school does well is tell you that your first client's not going to come in and you're going to be able to use your therapeutic skills right away, like Cece just said, right? So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, what am I going to teach them today? What am I going to do? We have to work. Like, we got to do stuff, right? But and I knew that coming in here and working with you, Dawn, Patrice, the first thing you were like, it's a conversation. Think of it as a conversation, right? That helped me a lot. But now it's like there's a book that defines exactly what I'm doing, and it's like, yes, like this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is what is actually producing change, right?
This is what trauma informed actually is.
Yeah. And it makes me think about a client that I have who wants to see a trauma informed therapist. And a question I have for them is, what do you think that's supposed to look like? Right? Because it's what we're doing. Unfortunately, I can only create the safe environment in here, and I can't dictate their environment out into the world. So that can hinder the progress, right? If there is not change outside of here. But I'm still creating that safe environment so that we can get to that point. And that, even though it may not look like I'm doing anything, is doing something.
100%. And as I always say, it's very disrespectful for you to interject what you want to come out of a session as opposed to what the client wants to come out of the session, right? We've talked a lot about, I have some, like if a client comes in, and I always ask them first, how was the week been, right? And that usually we're off and running, and we're processing through events that happened, ways they could, interact differently with them, whatever. But on the off chance that it's not, then I can say like, hey, let's talk about this, right? But you have to be real careful not to run the session. It's not yours. It's theirs. And I believe wholeheartedly clients innately know what they need. They just don't know how to verbalize it. So it's our job to walk that with them, right? But you're not a teacher, and that you're not here to get through lessons with them. And here's their assignments. Right? It's very different. And, working with kids, it's why I won't work with a youth if the parents don't agree that they're going to bring them weekly for a minimum of 8 weeks, right? Sometimes, depending on the energy with the individual, I'll say 6 to 8 weeks if I feel they're more open to this. But that right there is what it takes to build the rapport, to get the kid to regulate and come in our office and exhale. And that's what we're looking for, right? We can't work with them. We can't get to their cortex. We can't get to their frontal lobe if their amygdala is on point when they walk in the door. They're on guard, they're defensive, they don't want to be here. Like, okay, it's going to take me a really long time to regulate that so they can start getting to the top floor and working on some of the techniques and skills that I can teach them, right? Very conversationally, so it doesn't appear like it's school, right? It's why I never got into CBT, because CBT can be so scripted, and that's not me. I think it's so disrespectful to the client.
Yeah, and then you're thinking about like what you're going to say instead of actually truly listening to them. Because I'm just thinking of like in grad school, like I did use CBT like during my residency.
She did.
Because I feel like that's just the one.
We all
I
did.
just didn't know, like I was just like, okay, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? Like, and I was too worried about that, and that's not good.
That's not what they're looking for.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but all of the interns that I have had, y'all have always made comments about like, oh my gosh, your clients, like they just love you and they're here, like that you've been with them forever. And yeah, because I attune,
Mhm.
right? And I hear it all the time from my clients, like, I can't believe you remember that. That was 6 years ago. Oh, I remember,
Mhm.
because it's here, right?
Mhm.
Or I am all yours. My ADHD is on point, right? It gets to shine. I can't remember what I ate for dinner last night, but I know what you said 6 years ago.
Mhm. It's
Right?
more than just being present, it's being intentional with your presence.
Absolutely, right? It's that relational component,
Yeah.
right? So were there other points of the book that were just like, again, to phrase Oprah, aha moments for you? I know, Cece, go ahead and pick one of your 100 stickies.
Yeah. So many.
So something I really highlighted that like was like, oh wow, like how validating. But it says, yes, healthy development involves a series of challenges and exposures to new things. And failure is an important part of the process. We try, we fail, we get up, we try again and again. All developmental success comes after failure, and typically many failures will occur before mastery is achieved. The key is to have challenges that are achievable, close enough to your current capabilities that you will succeed with some encouragement, practice, and repetition. And I think we have a society that's afraid to fail.
Hands down. And they see failure as hopeless, ignorance, shameful,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where I I've never seen it that way. I don't know if it's my mom's upbringing. She did a good job. But I was raised with the phrase, I'm going to find that pony in that pile of shit. It's a very East Texas phrase.
I need to use that one.
And I should have my mom say it. She's got the twang and everything.
I can hear her saying it.
Right? Yes, yes. And she gets all indignant. She's this little spitfire to just but it's a different mindset, right? I didn't fail. This didn't work, but I gained a lot of knowledge. So to me, those are wins on what to do next time. I may not like it and it may not feel good, but I'm not going to personalize it and make it about me and shortcomings, right? If I was ignorant about something, then I was ignorant about something, right? Most of us, we're not stupid. We're not going to do something we know is not going to work intentionally,
Mhm.
right? We just didn't know. That's ignorance, and there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
right?
I found mine.
Okay. Hit it.
I think
Wait and see.
yeah. When he said the key point is that all of us tend to gravitate to the familiar, even when the familiar is unhealthy or destructive. We're drawn to what we were raised with.
Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Human nature,
Mhm.
right? We know this is like, case in point, children not running away from an abusive relationship,
Mhm.
right? Let's say it's mom or it's dad, and it's overtly abusive and they're 16 and they can leave, right?
Mhm.
They've got good friends they can go to. They've got good friends, parents that are like, we'll take you in. And yet they won't, because that's the familiar. This is safe, right? It's the danger I know as opposed to the danger I don't.
Mhm.
I know how to respond to this.
Yeah, and even something he was saying, like in relationships, when someone is like things are all going well, and then you'll kind of like antagonize to receive that response because that is what you're used to and that is what's familiar. I thought that was so
Yeah.
interesting.
Yep. Hands down.
Mhm.
I see it a
Another
lot.
Another thing I found interesting, I'm trying to find it, But everything we have read thus far, I don't think, like, if you are looking at the covers of them, you would say that they don't relate book wise, right? You're just looking at the outside cover. Then why does everything talk about a phone and how
Period.
helpful? And I remember it saying, and I'm trying to find the exact quote of, like, you see where there are a lot of parents that aren't connected to their child. Like, your kids are just there and you're in your phone, right? And it's not creating that safe environment for your child. It's they're isolated in a way. And I just thought it was just so interesting that there is a theme to mental health. It's our inability to have boundaries with ourselves and technology.
Because you're present, but you're not connected.
Well, and do you think that is just massive disassociation?
Yeah.
Because as a society, we're so flooded with all the things that we need to do and all the places we need to be and all of that, that is the disassociation,
Mhm.
right? And
Doom
nobody's
scrolling.
processing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a theme that it's like in the age where, like, being in Texas, they have banned phones from schools, right? It's like, I'm not mad at it. And it's at least having the conversation be a thing.
A step in the right
Even if
direction.
parents are mad, they're talking about it. And so when a parent comes and sits in my office, I can go, yeah, it's frustrating, but it's actually helping your kid focus a little bit more, even if they're mad about it.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Right. We talked about this before. Gosh, we didn't have it when I was growing up, and
Me either.
we were still able to get messages to your kid. Like, you're gonna be fine. Maybe it's more pre-planning on your part, right? Know what you're gonna need to do. Know the night before, hey, I'm gonna need to pick you up at X time at this location, whatever, instead of waiting until 2 hours before to text your kid and say, hey, I'm gonna be there at this time at this place. So it's pre-planning, but again, it goes back to, why can't you pre-plan? What is so all-encompassing in your world that you can't do that? Right? And I think it goes back to, people haven't been taught the self-regulating skills, so they are constantly emotionally flooded. They're disassociating, right? I mean, yes, I do believe there's, confounding factors there. We have way too much on our plate as a society, especially American society. So we can't logistically manage all of those things, but we're then not self-regulating and flooded and disassociating, right?
Yeah.
So
And then calling it procrastination.
shaming ourselves, lazy.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot with my clients, right? Because I deal with a lot of anxious individuals. And so I hear all the time, well, I'm lazy. I'm lazy. And I'm like, whoa, what language? Who's the owner of that voice? I want you to stop and think about, and who does that sound like? Who in your life does that sound like? You're just pulling that forward, right? So
Yeah, I think everyone should read this book.
agreed.
Literally.
Agreed. And it's easy, right?
Yeah.
It's written very conversationally. It is literally written like she's interviewing him, right? They're having a conversation and you see hers and then you see his, and then so
I feel like
it's awesome.
we should have kids in school reading psychology books if their parents aren't going to do it.
Well, but are they cognitively ready for all of that?
Maybe not, right? So it's hard. I think if there was a way for, you know, how kids have to go to school, right? Like it's like CPS will come to your house if your kid's not at school, right? I think there should be something like that for adults, and we should have to go back. It maybe for like just 6 months, and you need to read some
Rites
books
of
for 6 months.
passage.
Yeah, like the government will be like, hey, it's your time to go back to school for
Oh,
6 months and learn how to be.
eh, eh, the government's not going to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
No, I
me
know, but
either.
it's just, but it
I
is.
hear you. I know. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, right? But you don't want anybody regulating you,
No,
right?
for sure. But I do think that it's unfortunate that a lot of people don't think that they should have anything else to learn after adulthood.
I agree. I agree. But that's how they find their way to us, right?
Mhm.
And so this is why you should have it on your table.
I'm about to put books everywhere, quotes everywhere. I'm gonna make little quote cards. So, like, read one today.
I just, like I said, they sit next to me, and when I hear a client, it like bubbles up and they're ready, right? That's the whole thing. It has to be relevant. If it's not relevant,
Yeah.
we're not going to pick it up. So yes, we could require people to read these things, but if it's not relevant to them, it's not going to stick,
Yeah.
right? It's just going to float right on out. So they have to be right for the picking. But yeah, I just tap on the side of it. They all sit neatly next to me, and I just tap on it. And then if they look excited, I hand it to them. Right. So
I think that's what's great about us sitting down and having this conversation or these conversations is because we're in an age where people really they don't want to read too much. Nobody wants to read, right?
right.
But we are reading for you, and we're talking about what's great
We're
about
giving
the
you
book.
synopses, and hopefully
Yeah.
you are interested enough to want to pick it up. Yes, that is the goal of these, right? It's one, to help you guys open your eyes and start building your toolboxes. It's something that never ends, right? But there are some foundational books that you do need to just have by you, and have certain chapters marked in them. You don't have to read the whole thing, right? I've got some of my men that are like, I don't want to read. And I'm like, I hear you. And I'm just asking you to read this chapter, right? And audiobooks now, driving to and from work, just listen to this chapter. It's titled this, right? Because it doesn't always line up with the
It's the
chapter.
commute. You can read 30 minutes to or an hour to work and an hour home.
That's how I read mine, y'all. That's I think I've told y'all that. I will listen to a book through my Spotify Premium, right? I get what, 14 hours a month. That'll get me through a book, 2 books. And if I think it's amazing, then I'll go buy it and I'll put it in my office and have it available, right?
Oh,
But
that's smart.
it does. It helps me to field books. I've listened to tons, and there's some that I'm like, oh, that's good. But I don't recommend it if I don't go, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this is it. And it has to be easy, right? It has to be in lay terms to help us understand. And that's why I liked this one.
Mhm.
Yeah, literally so good.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, any last parting thoughts or words you'd like to leave?
I think your question was great when you said, who in your life does that sound like? I think we should all be asking ourselves that question. Like whenever we have an intense emotion or a uncomfortable feeling, maybe even like, who does this remind me of? What is this taking me back to?
That
And he
gets
said
in.
that in the book.
He does, and there's a whole modality of therapy that uses that. And that's, if you're interested in it, is internal family systems, I believe is the correct initials. It's IFS.
Oh, he mentions that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is the component of it is there are certain phrases, and I've had this conversation with my mom too. There are certain phrases that she says, certain phrases that I say. Hands down, when I stop and think about it, I can tell you exactly what family member that was, or boss, or friendship. That resonates from, right? It is literally their voice. And if I close my eyes, I can see their whole body and all their gestations.
I recognize that I start to do that, like with y'all, and like if you do certain facial movements or like I mimic, but not on purpose, and then I'm like, oh, what's happening?
Well,
Like,
it's like my clients will be like, "Yep, you were in my head this weekend," right? In a good way. Yep, I heard you saying "not my shit," right? That's one of my catchphrases that I use with clients all the time. Not your shit, right? Not my shit. And they'll say it, and that's a good reference to it, right? And it's not just bad things, it's good things too that you have that pop into your head, and they're from somebody, right? I've got a mentor that I hear in my head often, and it's good, it's encouraging, right? So I don't mean to say that all those things in your head are negative. They're not, right? They can be both. But yes, that's IFS. So, all right, Cece, any parting words? You don't have to have anything.
I just think everyone should read it. It's just so good.
I agree. All right, so next month's book is going to be, let me grab that one.
I have it over here too. I think I have the audio version too.
Yeah, it's a good one. Is this one, Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, Getting Ready for the Holiday Season, right? And this is a book that is amazing, and it is not about the blame game, but it's about understanding. It actually kind of piggybacks off of this one, on understanding your parents and why they behaved the way they did, and you'll start making the correlations of why you behave the way you do and why other people behaved the way they do.
Yeah,
right?
I think the title is so catchy, but it could also be called "How to Identify Emotionally Immature People."
Exactly, right? Yes, we're looking at your parents, but hands down, it's not just about your parents, right? So
Yeah.
I always say that I've read this now like 3 times, all in regards to clients, like, okay, I want to present this portion of it. So let me go back and again, listen to it while I'm driving. But I start looking at my parents. The first couple of times I didn't. But this last time I 100% started looking at my own parents and started going, oh, I get it, right? I adore my mother. My mother is one of my best friends, amazing woman. But it made me start going, oh, I see where that came from. Yep, I see, yep. And now that I have 3 adult children, I can be self-aware and self-reflective enough to go, oh, yeah, that's where they got that from. Okay. Right? Nobody's perfect. And that's not what it's about. It's just about awareness